Welcome everyone to the Tabletop Chat podcast, where we talk about anything and everything that's about tabletop. I am your host, Aruka, and we are here with amazing minds and the creators behind the DX Monsters TCG. So let's get into this. I am here with the creators of DX Monsters TCG. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good.
How did you two come to create the game? I mean, like, how did it happen? What was the start? What was the beginning of it all?
Well, before we actually met each other, because we recently just got married.
Congratulations.
Oh yeah, thank you. We, as a little kid, I just always made games being inspired by like Final Fantasy and of course Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. And then when we got together, we were trying to do like comic books and stuff. Then we were like board games. Then I was like, we can make a trading card game, and that's where the magic started.
Yeah, and I've been illustrating for years, so it just kind of made sense. I've been illustrating since, obviously since, like most people, since they were kids. It just never stopped. So he had the brains behind it and some sketches. So I was like, well, I can add my skill set to it and, kind of bring it to life. So that's pretty much what we did. He comes with all the initial sketches and ideas, and I just kind of put my skill set to it.
She put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, I bet so. I bet that's the hard part, is getting all the artwork and everything done up.
Yeah, it takes some time for sure.
Oh yeah, it definitely does take some time. So, like, the inspiration came from just playing the other games. Was there like a real driving force? Was it like I'm just tired of how these games kind of work, or was it something else?
No, I've always been a big fan of trading card games. It was just my imagination come to life, like seeing creatures from your head actually on a card that you actually get to play with and control and stuff. I think that's why.
It's really interesting. And then why did you join along to do the illustrations and everything for like the card game? Because, I mean, besides you guys being married and stuff now, but like initially at the beginning, like what was like the real reason why behind it?
For me, I've always wanted to do it was like I always wanted to draw for like packaging and illustrations for games. And first I started down the path of trying to go through mobile games and just overall the game industry. I got my foot in the door, and then just wasn't really for me. We can go into that if you want to, but like,
go ahead, go into the details. That's what we want to hear, is all the details.
Sure. Yeah. So when I went to school in San Francisco, and then I got an internship at Disney Consumer Products in LA. So I moved to LA to complete that internship as a digital artist in mobile games, working for like e-learning for children, things like that. But I wanted to get into like mobile games and then eventually make my way to like AAA titles and all that. But then I slowly began to realize that's not really for me. It's a different kind of grind. Like, you're never really in a contract for very long. I just didn't really fit. I don't know. I just doors closed. Like, once my internship, after like 9 months of my internship, there was a merger, there was layoffs, all that kind of stuff. I stayed in LA, but about a month later, against my mother's advice, I stayed in LA with no job, no prospects of a job, and just kind of hoped for the best. And then I got another call for me to work for another team in Disney to finish out my contract. Once the contract ended, everything just kind of dried up. There was like a hiring freeze, all that good stuff. So I just kind of came back to regroup and figure out what I wanted to do. I would just go to stores and, you see games on the shelf, you see products on the shelf, and I would wonder, like, how do you do that? How do you get your art on a game? But I thought I had to be hired to do that. So little did I know, like 5 years later or whatever it was, I'd meet Adam, and he had a game idea. I was like, okay, well, obviously I illustrate. I showed him some of my work. Eventually, just kind of put me in position to do what I've always wanted to do. But I thought I had to be hired to do it versus creating my own thing, or being a part of something that's, not owned by a bigger, company or whatever. So like I just kind of like once I started drawing the cards, I was definitely insecure of like not like wanting to let him down because I had never actually done this before, even though I desired to do it. But kept going, kept at it, and then I started realizing, this is exactly what I've always wanted to do, and here I am doing it, and so that just kind of kicks you, that inspiration, that drive just goes to a whole nother level because like, oh, I'm doing it, so let's go, let's get it, let's take it to another level. Because then I'm like, I don't want our stuff to look amateur, so I'm like studying of like, okay, how can we look like we fit, like we've already been here before. And that's always my goal now. It's just like, okay, how do we make it look like we've been here for years? Because that's the level I want to create on versus like just some, feeling very amateur or whatever. But yeah, that's just kind of how I create. It's how I kind of think. So it's a little bit of the backstory as far as illustration side.
Oh, that's completely fine. The more backstory, the better, because you get to learn more about you guys and everything, and then like how like everything came to be. Which I also am sorry. I know the pain of Disney. I've worked for them before, so I know where you're at with
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah, you get it. You get it.
I get them. I get them way too well.
What were
Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, what was your introduction to them? Or
Oh, I was actually I worked as a chef for the Disney World Orlando, Florida resort area. So I worked for them for like 10, 12 plus years. So I know the pains of working with the company.
yeah.
Not on your side, but the whole company branch is the same company. Oh
Yeah,
man.
it was. I mean, I learned a lot, but I just always wanted to work for myself too. So that's another thing, another goal, just creating your own thing to live off of and do what you love.
Oh, I know exactly
So
what you mean. I think for an artist perspective, it's way easier now this day and age. You guys got access to like Patreon and like, there's I mean just saying that there's so many other avenues to be able to generate some side money and stuff like that to try to aim towards that goals and
yeah, for sure. Like I mean, it literally at this point, and that's why I tell Adam like the more we print things and get things produced, I'm like, your imagination is literally the limitation. Like you don't gotta go, you don't have to wait for somebody to choose your product, to get it printed, to get it made. You can find artists, you can find programmers, designers, like, and then collab and then produce your own stuff. Like reach out to manufacturers and get your own stuff made. So I think that has been a very interesting and eye-opening experience of like, oh shoot, like what else can we do? Like what else can we create? And so now I'm just like, the wheels are turning in my brain. Like, what else can we do? How big can we take this?
yes, exactly. I know exactly what you mean, especially with all the different like TCGs that are even hitting the market right now. It's pretty incredible. And speaking of, can you go through of what product that you guys got currently right now?
Yeah. So we have 6 starter decks. We're about to launch the 7th starter deck. We have 2 booster sets. One of those booster sets is going to launch along with the 7th starter deck, and that'll round out the first season. Then we have like other merch that complement the game as far as like pens and prints and all that good stuff. But as far as like the game itself, we're 276 cards in. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's yeah. So we're trying to get the 7th and like I said, the 7th deck and the booster printed. We're gonna launch a Kickstarter pretty soon here. But yeah, it's a lot of game. It's a we got a lot going on with a lot that's already printed.
Along with our game mats and stuff like
Oh
that
yeah,
too.
game mats.
Oh, that's
So we have a
good.
single mat. Yeah, single standard and a dual mat. So 2-player mat.
Oh, two-player mats are always fun to get. Oh, but man, their shipping is paying for me on my side. So out of curiosity, how many cards are per booster set, and then how many cards actually per deck? And then like, what do you get inside of them?
Averagely, a starter deck will have a unique of 21 cards in it. But of course, there's 40 cards in a deck, so you have copies of some cards. And booster set is usually, we do our booster set a little differently. We usually have 2 sets in every field, which I mean we're on season 1 now. But each booster set will have 51 cards in it. But there's 8 cards in that pack, so you have a 51 set to collect, and that comes down to common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, and there's 1 super card in each set. So, and then the decks, you're guaranteed of course you have your boss monsters that are ultra rares, commons, rares, and uncommons. I think once we're done all together, it'll be 277.
Oh wow, that's pretty good. Out of curiosity though, you said it was a 21 card deck?
No. There's 21 unique cards in each deck.
Oh,
But
21 unique cards, multiple copies. Oh, so what's the total cards that you get in the deck?
40.
Oh, 40 card deck. Okay, I was like, oh wow, that's a small deck. I was like, how does the game play? I was like, I remember there was more cards when I checked it out. Oh, I got you. 21 unique cards with multiple copies. I got you. Oh, okay, man, that put me through a mind twister.
Because you'll need 40 to play as a minimum, but you can have no more than 60. So in between 40 and 60, you can play around with.
Gotcha, right. So you're able to get some options and stuff like that. And now speaking of, so we got the decks, so we got the booster packs. Can you give us a little bit on how actually the game actually plays?
Yeah, so pretty much you start with your deck, and it's easier if you have the mat in front of you, but like pretty much you have your 40 cards. You draw the first 3 cards from the top of your deck. Those become your shields. And those shields basically protect you from direct attacks or you being basically the game being over. So you start with the 3 shields, and on the mat, you guys can go to our website to check out the mat visually, but there's 3 spaces that say battle. They line up directly across from your opponent. So every monster that you summon can attack the monster directly across from you. So you pretty draw your first 5. Each player draws another card every round, or at the beginning of their turn. So we say there's 3 basic rules to go by to kind of guide you. The first rule is you can only move 1 time per turn. You can summon as many times as you want per turn, and then you can
each monster can attack once.
Yeah, each monster in battle can attack 1 time. So basically, you're trying to, which something that's called a bench break. So right below the battle zone, those 3 battle spaces, there's a bench zone. So every time your monster is attacked, it's pushed back to the bench, but it's still active because it's faced up. If that monster gets attacked again, it's face down and it's no longer active. Every time you stack 3 cards in that bench zone, it breaks one of your shields. So once you have no shields, the act of the 3 cards being stacked, that's called a bench break. So a bench break can basically be you being attacked and your monsters being pushed back in that space, or you summoning from your hand a monster in a particular space. I don't want this to be confusing, but
no, it's
but
okay.
Okay, so when you summon, you have to summon in consecutive order. Each monster has a level. So there's a level 1, there's a level 2, there's a level 3, and there's a level 4. And then later there will be 5s and all that. But right now there's 1 through 4. So every time you summon, you have to start with a level 1 in one of those 3 battle spaces. If you want to summon a level 2, you have to push that level 1 back to the bench zone to summon your level 2. And that goes on repeatedly until you get to your 4. But again, you don't want a bench break that's stacking 3 cards in your bench zone. So you can bench break yourself, or you can be bench broken by an opponent attacking you. So when those 3 cards are stacked, they go to your graveyard. You take a shield to your hand. Hopefully it's something good and helps you out. But if you experience 4 of those bench breaks and 4 bench breaks within a game, you lose. So basically that means you lose 3 shields, all 3 of your shields, and then your opponent can attack you directly, the player, at that point, because you have no shields protecting you.
Oh, okay, I get it
Yeah, I always tell people the bench zone is like think of the battle zone as like the battle. So when monsters are battling, because what you want to do is you want to flood your field with stronger monsters. But the bench zone where monsters go whenever they're out of battle, they can still be attacked. But if
Right.
like too many monsters on the bench will break and it'll hurt you. So
Yeah.
you want to summon your monsters, but you're going to fill up your bench zone, so you got to be careful how you summon your monsters because you don't know what your opponent's going to do on their turn. They can end up beating your monsters. So it's all about how you want to use your one move because that comes in handy every turn because you can move your monsters around, so make sure you don't get flooded in one bench break.
That's actually kind of cool. I like that. Now, is there actually like the monsters in the bench, right? Do they sometimes have like effects and stuff that could help boost up the main guy that's outside, kind of like some stacking effects that some other card games have?
Well, you can have like so. Just for example, you can have a monster. Like sometimes I use the bench intentionally. So I would. There's a monster. You can have a card that has like gives your other monsters +20 on the field. So sometimes I'll summon a stronger monster and protect it. So therefore, like my opponent, more than in my mind, more than likely my opponent can't destroy my level 4. So I'll just hide my weaker monster that gives everybody +20 behind my or on the bench in the bench zone. That gives everybody +20. I hide him behind somebody stronger, and that way he's continuously in play. And all my monsters, no matter what I summon, gets an automatic +20. So stuff like that. If that answers your
Nice.
question.
Yes, that does. That exactly answers my question. I didn't know if you guys actually implemented that kind of strategy within the game, which is really cool. Now, out of curiosity, if let's say the level 4 monster gets defeated, would that mean a level 3 monster for the bench is able to come back onto the arena, the battlefield?
If it's not covered, so if the 4 is knocked back and it doesn't cause a bench break and it's fine, um, you can use your one move to, because again, if he say he's defeated, like say you have your 4 in the battlefield, he gets knocked back by a stronger monster, and then he gets attacked again. So now he's face down, so he's inactive. Your 4 is covering your 3. So
Mm.
you can use your one move to bring your 3 above that 4, and so he's still in play. But if that 4 is face down covering, or even faced up, if any monster in the bench zone is covered, it's inactive. You can't use its effects. You can't. It's just covered. But you can use your one move to move it above any monster that's covering it to make it active again.
And even if a monster is defeated, he has any move. You can use your move to bring the monster back up to the box. That's the only time they can attack. The bench
Oh.
monsters can't attack, but they can be attacked.
Okay, so I like how there's the balancing between both sides instead of it just kind of completely making it a little bit unfair on one side, and you're able to bring that one back up to try to help cover. That's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. And now, out of curiosity, what type of cards are in the deck besides the monsters themselves? Like, what if there's any supports or stuff like that?
Yeah, other than your monsters, you have your spell/action cards, and they come in two varieties, as in normal spells and quick spells. And you'll be able to tell them apart by their color, because normal spells are blue, and they can only be played on the owner's turn. While red spells are quick spells, and they can be played during any action, even if like your opponent's turn they're doing something. And speaking of actions, DX Monsters has no like phases or whatever like other card games. So within
Oh,
your turn, you can use your actions in any order. You can
gotcha.
summon, attack, move, and attack again if you want to.
Oh, that's cool. So you
And
could,
then
yeah, attack and then like use the support cards and stuff like that, and then attack again if you wanted to.
Mhm.
Oh, I like that a lot. I noticed that's been a shift that most card games have been doing lately, and honestly, I think that's just better because getting stuck in faces just kind of sounds dumb and like old method, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, then depending on how you use your cards, going in certain combos like that, you can do some nasty stuff.
Yeah, it gets intense.
Yeah.
But also, quick cards.
Yeah, and equip cards, they're special because I know we're talking about bench breaks earlier. Equip cards, they attach to a monster, and they're very useful because they can increase their stats, or it could also give them an effect, or both. But equip cards are special because they don't count toward the bench break. And we said earlier, 3 cards are stacked in bench break.
Oh, so
Called
that's
bench break.
cool. So you could even equip to now this is just curiosity. Can you equip a card that to a monster that's already in the bench by chance?
Yeah. The only way the equip card will count toward your bench break is if that card is zoned itself, which is face down. Like some spells will zone an equip card, and if that's in your bench zone, it's going to count towards you. But like, so you got a monster with 3 equip cards attached to him. He gets defeated and gets pushed back. You technically only have 1 card there.
Oh, okay, I like that. Oh.
And the last type we have is our little land cards. A player can only control 1 of those at a time, but they're like have continuous effects. And so far, right up now, we have 8 unique ones, and each one does like his own little thing. Like one of them gives all your monsters +5. Another one allows you to use 2 moves per turn, which is very useful. And one of my favorite ones is where your bench monsters can attack.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I think what's it called, bench warper.
Yeah, so land cards are kind of like game breakers, spice things up.
Yeah, because that bench warper, that's the one he's talking about, that allows you to attack from the bench. So like I've played it where I have 3 monsters in my battle, and I have 3 monsters in my bench zone. So like I'll attack you with all 3 monsters in my battle, then I'll attack you again with all 3 monsters in my bench zone, and it just like, yeah, it gets crazy.
I was gonna say that gets wild. That's like one of the good cards to use. Now, out of curiosity, you said it could only be activated one. Is it 1 per player, or does the arena affect both sides, or just your side?
You can always have multiple, but you'll end up discarding it, so it would just replace it.
Does it affect both players or just yourself?
Just yourself. I mean, there are some land cards that will make it to where, like, at the beginning of each turn, the player has to mill a card from their deck or something like that. Pretty much our main ones, they're pretty much whoever owns it. They're almost like advantage cards, kind of. There'll be another land card. Like, every time a card would be sent to the graveyard, it has to be banished. That will affect both players.
But that one's not out yet.
Yeah, that was
Oh, that's part of the next set. Oh, okay. So speaking of the next set, do you guys have a rough release date? Are you doing like pre-order? Oh wait, it was Kickstarter, right? So like, when are you going to be doing the Kickstarter, or do you have an idea yet?
We're in the process of pretty much finishing up. We're just trying to get people get back with this.
We're just waiting on manufacturers to like confirm quotes and everything, just to make sure we're asking for the right amount and all that stuff. But once they confirm, we should be launching, I would say, next month.
I'm excited about this set because it has some nasty cards in it.
Now that's cool. Now, do you guys have, okay, so you're still trying to figure out the pricing and stuff to get the actual rough goal line to meet. Do you have like an estimated goal line to meet on Kickstarter? Because I know that's been a real challenge with a lot of other recent indie TCGs with their Kickstarters, is setting the goal line.
With the numbers that we ran last time, hopefully it's the same outcome. But we'll probably, it also depends on how many people order. Our base order will probably be about 20,000.
I mean, well, not the cards, but like
not cards.
But yeah, so like pretty much, it just depends on what we print.
Yeah.
Like, so we're getting a quote for everything, and then based on the overall number, because we're doing, we want to do a reprint of the 6 decks. We want to first, the priority is launching the 7th and the booster, but we're also getting quotes reprinting the other ones. But if it's just the starter deck and just the booster pack, then
About 10.
Yeah, probably about 10. But again, it just depends, because every company has a different price point of like what they charge and all that. So it could be lower. It just depends on when they get back to us. Because I mean, hopefully it drops that number a lot, because it's easier. Obviously, if it's like $5,000 or something like that, that's I'm not going to say easier, but it's more. I don't know.
Flexible that way.
Exactly. So hopefully it just depends on what they say, and because again, we're not printing hundreds of thousands of copies, so that plays a role in The more you print, the more cheaper it is, that kind of thing. But if you're printing less, that number goes up. But if the numbers look right, then we can print a certain amount and get that number down from 10, because that is a big number. But it just depends on what they say and when they get back to us, and so.
And
But we'll see.
I was going to say, I do know that some printing companies have different rules behind it. So some of them, they'll be like, oh, you have to print separate sets, where some of them, they're like, oh, no, you could do your new set and all your additional decks that you want to do and your older stuff that you want to do, and you could print those all at the same time on the line. So I know if you could find a company that does that, I know that would be very helpful for you guys.
Yeah. So, yeah, just gotta wait for them to get back to us to see if that's possible. Because again, that would be amazing if we could just do a reprint of the original, like the original 6, and the new stuff.
And the
But
new
if
stuff
not,
on
then
top of it. Oh yeah,
yeah,
that'd be so much easier for you guys. Oh my gosh. But I know trust me, I know I've talked to printing company people before, and I'm like, oh man, some of them are like, no, we have to, it's like a new one each every single time. And it's like, well, that's kind of a ripoff. And then some others are like,
yeah,
yeah, we could do it all in one shot.
yeah. So, yeah, hopefully, because that'd be super amazing.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I hope you guys get that one. I know WJPC is one of them, and I know they do things like that. And I know more the print on demand ones like NPC. I know they do that too. So, but I know like I can't think of this one. Print Ninja's the one that needs everything separated, which is absolutely dumb. Uh, I would not
Yeah.
trust them. uh, okay, so you guys done conventions before, correct?
Yes,
So
definitely.
are you guys planning doing a convention run to promote the Kickstarter in that process? So it's like you're gonna hit the Kickstarter and then start doing the doing convention runs to try to help get people into the game and get some new players into it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. So, well, this is my thought. I'll let Adam speak and see what his opinion is. But so I want to launch a certain. I have a certain day in mind that if we don't get our quote back and all that, then we should push it to next year, so that way we can do that. Because we had plans to do that this year, but it just didn't work out, you know. But we're planning to do Origins next year in June, so I think that would be a good opportunity to promote it. If we don't do it like next month or whatever, because we've gathered an emailing list. Every show that we do, we have an email list that we collect emails and people who are interested and all that. And we've done this for like 2 years. So we have some names of people who've been interested over the years, but at the same time, it's like there's nothing really like promoting a Kickstarter in the moment, you know, while you're about to launch, getting names, at that moment. So that's kind of my thought process. If we don't get everything lined up by a certain day, then my vote is to push it to next year, and that way we can do a proper do another show and promote during that show. That's my. I don't know how Adam feels about that, but
Okay, let's hear it,
that's
Adam.
my kind of.
If no one knows about it, then might not know what it does.
I meant a few words.
I think I have to agree that playing the safer bet to wait like till next year and stuff and then try to like get that going would definitely be the smarter move. I have to agree with you on that one.
Definitely want to be fighting.
Yeah. Now, out of curiosity, do you two have a favorite card that's in the game? And then this question actually kind of breaks up into two categories. It's like, one, do you have a favorite card for its ability? And then the other one would be, do you have a favorite card for what type of monster or whatever the illustration it is?
Off the top of my head, I would say one of them. I have a couple, but card Iology is one of my favorites. It's a level 4 card, and basically it attacks your weaker stat. So it each monster has a level color, whether it's red, green, or blue, and that's whatever its level color is. That's the stat that it uses to attack, and the other two colors become your defense. With Iology, he's grayed out, so that means he can attack again whatever weaker stat that you have. And then not only that, additional card effect is that the player gets to choose one of the opponent's cards in their hand, and if it's a monster, like say if I'm playing Iology and I say, hey, let me select a card from your hand. If the card that I select is a monster, you have to zone it. So you have to put it in your bench zone face down. And I get to do that every turn. So, like, I love that card. It's a really good one. And as far as art, I would have to look, because I have a couple, like, I like Craven, is another level 4. I like Flame Kitty. Flame Kitty's really cute. With Mega Knight.
Oh, the Mega Yellow Knight.
Mega Yellow Knight is one of my favorites. That was really fun to draw.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of cards. A lot of them we have dedicated to like friends and family members and stuff like that. So a lot of those is pretty cool to put on the list. But I would say my favorite card right now, it would probably be Zamus as of now.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was fun to draw too. I like that one.
He's our big boy.
What does he do?
Story-wise, he's the villain, but he is a level 4 monster, and he's so powerful that you have to have a cost for him to attack. But his second ability is when he zones a monster by battle, you get Zamus counters based off the monster's level that he defeats. And if you gain 20 Zamus counters within the game, you just automatically win.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, if he beats another level 4 monster, you automatically get 4 Zamus counters, so you only need 16 more. And they'll build up pretty fast if he just starts knocking stuff out.
Especially in late games, right? When the game starts getting to that mid-late range, and then you're just like trying to put the big houses out there, and you're just like knocking them out, right?
There's one card that I like. It's a great card, so don't take this the wrong way. But I hate this card. Like when he plays, what is it? Ultimate Bot.
Castellan.
Yeah. Omega Bot. Yeah, so Omega Bot, basically, like, it's hard to get him off the field or get that card off the field. So basically, it just it can zone you based on, there's a spell card that's a gear, and depending on, like, basically every gear that he can play, he can just zone you directly based on, like, just how many gears that player has in their hand. So it's just one of those cards that if someone plays that card, like, you have to strategize your butt off to get them to get it off the field, or you're gonna lose. Like, it's just one of those cards. Then great card, but I hate that card.
Some of my favorites are the like art-wise, the fire cards. The way she's done them, they're so bright and just eye-catching.
Thank you.
There's one called the Lava Bomb. It's definitely one of my favorites art-wise because that's a beautiful card.
Now that you mentioned, you said like fire, right? Is everything represented by element types?
The closest thing it has in types in this game is their titles and their names that they share. Other than that, it pretty much goes off their battle color. And those typically don't have types, but mostly red monsters will be red. I mean, fire monsters, sorry. But there are fire monsters that are green and blue.
Oh.
Water monsters that are blue or green and red. But
yeah, so not really based off elements, but based off the lore of, like, Imperial spirits. Like, there's like the lore of the whole game is about these Imperial spirits who are blue, green, and red. The light they emit are blue, red, and green.
pretty much what the monster's dedication is to that spirit.
So tell me more about the lore, because I was just about to ask that. Let me hear about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like she just said, the Imperial Spirits, there's these three godlike entities that have been around making dimensions over time. But for an unknown reason that we will get to later on, they fled to make this perfect dimension called DX, Dimension X. The best thing supposed to be filled with beautiful life, intelligence, and peaceful. So that's their goal, just make the perfect life forms. But, they're so busy that, and got so much stuff going on that they created a body for themselves for all the power to hold, kind of like protector of this DX. They call him Sumeis, and he pretty much holds each of their spirits, the green, red, and blue Imperial spirits. And they created pretty much his little life crystal that he can use to help nourish DX. Too much power in one thing is kind of like can corrupt you. That's the one thing that didn't kind of like foresee. So eventually, he got a little upset with how life was because no matter how much you nurture it, there's always some kind of aggression or conflict that happens, and he's trying to fix it because he wants it to be perfect. But he's starting to learn that this world isn't perfect, and he can make it perfect. But what he's doing isn't what the Imperial spirits want. So eventually, he's going to do his own thing. He starts creating life his own way, but it's a little corrupted. Like your animals are starting to become poisonous, get more teeth. Your humans are more beastie. Your little light and lovely fairies are turning dark and scary and spooky. Eventually, they had to stop him, but they couldn't stop him because they pretty much are him, or he is them. So the only thing they could do is banish him to the dark zone. But his final thing he set off was he just crashed the Imperial Crystal into DX. That pretty much shattered it, pretty much corrupted the land. So everything got pretty much divided into zones. And while he got banished in the dark zone, he pretty much got fully corrupted by the darkness. And he became who he is known as today, Xamus. So pretty much life is starting out like what it is today with the knights and the dark fairies and all that. And everybody's trying to get these crystals because they're gonna, they increase your power. And some people want them to protect themselves, and some want them for power so they can conquer other people. And that's pretty much what the players come to. You decide why you're battling, and that's where the 6 starter decks, your Zone Masters, Zorn, Ragnar, Kane, Billy, the Lost One, Ultimate Bot, they're pretty much like the center of the story for Season 1. And eventually they'll have to come together to stop Xamus whenever he returns.
I really like how you tied in the lore into the game. I always find it fascinating hearing this subject. It's kind of like my favorite thing is the lore, how it connects to the game mechanics, to the color typing and everything. It's like one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I definitely one day want to turn it into a graphic novel, like, because that's a summary of the story, but there's so much more depth to the story. And like after hearing it, and like me having like a comic background, I'm like, oh, I can see this, or some kind of novel just written like fully out. It just gets really deep, and you're like, oh, like, and I love to, like, that's what makes me excited as the artist, is that as he tells me the story and what he has in mind, I can see it. And I'm like, the more I can see it, the better I can illustrate it, or the better I can put it on the page. So just hearing the full lore, I'm like, oh, that's not just cards, because cards are just snippets, just one single image per card. But I'm like, oh, that's a story, like that's a graphic novel or a novel, like that needs to be like fully fleshed out. So hopefully one day we'll be able to take time to do that.
Oh yeah, that'd be so cool to do, especially if it's a light novel, because it's easy because you got the words and then you got a few pictures thrown in there, and it just makes the whole process
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
Yes, I like it. I like it. Yes. To me, like I said, for me, for a card game to work, even though there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, I don't usually follow the lore, I just play the game. But I think overall that the lore has to tie in with the cards, and everything has to interconnect, and that's what makes them a lot better, more detailed than some others have seen come out. Which, speaking of others, do you guys play any other indie TCGs by the chance? If you don't, that's completely fine. But if you do, are there any that have actually caught your eyes, or any that you actually enjoy and like?
I've always grown up playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, and when me and Adrian first got together, I tried to teach her how to play Magic.
Yeah, no.
But it wasn't her thing.
No, I tried. Because like I'd see him like get with his friends, and I wanted to be, because I'm like, oh sure, I'm gonna get excited. They'd have these tournaments and stuff, and the tournament, they just look fun. So I was like, I want to learn. I want to learn how to play some Magic, and then immediately I was like, nah, this ain't for me. This I know, like, yeah, it's too complicated. You got to turn this and do this. I'm like, it's not my thing. I collected Pokemon cards when I was younger, but only for illustration purposes, like only because I was inspired by the art. And I, like most people, like a lot of people just collect for the art and not because they actually play it. But I was a part of that group, just being inspired by the art. So I was never really a card player. But once we start starting DX, to me, that was my excitement for DX. And then, yeah, I know I'm a part of the creator and all that good stuff. So I'm not just saying that because like I'm a part of it, but like for me, the excitement that I saw with him and his friends, I get to experience now because this game is easier for me to play. And that's what I like about it, is because like the simplicity yet the strategy, because I am a thinker, so the simplicity is there, so it doesn't take forever to learn it, but yet the strategy is there, where it challenges you as a player. Because we've tested this game with like Magic players and stuff, and they get excited about it. So I'm not just like, because again I don't play Magic, so I can't like that game. I'm pretty sure if they're excited about it, has enough strategy. But yeah, so I wish, like, again, I wanted to have that same excitement for other card games, but it just didn't click for me. I'm pretty sure they're amazing and they're great, but it just didn't click for me.
Well, I think we're coming to the end of this. I want to thank you both so much for coming on and joining on our podcast and doing this interview with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No, absolutely. And I hope that we are able to sit down and chat again and just talk about like our favorite game mechanics, like what are the likes or dislikes and things like that. And we could probably even talk with some other creators in the future.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be fun.
Heck yeah.
So let us know.
I definitely will. And thank you guys for joining me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.